This conference will now be recorded.
So guys, anybody have any open questions regarding previous session? Are you guys able to set up the environment? Any questions on that?
Yes, Venkat, I have one doubt.
Yeah, go ahead please.
How to add a Java path to Anypoint Studio?
Yeah, Java path that automatically load that the Java location and all. You don't need to worry about that. That's why I said clearly the priority. Which one is the priority? The first we have to do the Java setup. Okay, and then we
Okay.
have to do class path also. We have to do class path. I'll show right now. This is how to set up the class path. Once you do this one, while loading the Anypoint Studio, it will pick it up, right? So that's why in the Anypoint Studio there is a .ini file, right? So here we have to add the JRE location. That's the one you have to add it. So that way it will identify that with the Java location and all. While creating a project, right? So the location also it will come, right? I'll just show you that path. First we have to set up the Java. Once you installed it, by default nowadays IT team will take it to install the Java by default each and every mission. So once open that one, C program files, usually the Java they will set up into C drive, right? You can see these two folders, right? According to our recommendation, the 1.8 under any version is good, guys. You can see my version is 201 under 1.8, right? So whatever the latest you can consider it, but it should be 1 point, not the latest version is 10 also there Java, but don't consider that one 1.10, 1.10. But actually it should be 1.8 under that multiple version. Any version is fine. Once you've done this part, we have to set up the class path, right? So I'm using
Yeah.
Windows 10. Under Windows 10, this is the process actually. Go to process properties, but actually you should have an admin access, otherwise you can't able to set up this one. Once you click that the properties, there is an advanced system settings.
Okay.
It's getting loaded. Under advanced system settings, you can see that environment variable here. Under environment variable, here is the, don't set up in the user variables actually. You can do user variables also. The problem is if you set up that class path here, so it will work only your user actually. If there is a chance to join other users also in your mission, right? So they can't able to work with that, the Java, if you set up here. So that's why it recommended is set up in the system variable here itself. You can see it here. There is a two things we have to do it. One is Java underscore home we have to do it, and then path we have to do it. The first one is Java underscore home. I'm just highlighting, guys. While go through the recording and just choose accordingly. See program files Java JDK. The root folder path you have to keep it. That's about JDK. Copy this header, and create the Java underscore home. How to create it? So here is the new button. Just click the new button here. So then it will come variable name and the variable value. The paste that one whatever you copied from the address bar, and then make it a Java underscore home with the capital letters on the top. That's the first one. The second one is the path. There is a path, you can see it here. Similarly, you can click new and then add path also. So here you can see the Java underscore home slash bin, right? By default, it won't be there, guys. We have to click a new here, so it will reflect here. So that percentile Java underscore home percentile slash bin. There's a thing. These are two things we have to set up it, right? Once you've done that part, so then go to your the command prompt, and then you might know how to test the Java is working or not. The Java C, it should show some information. Similarly, Java. If we say like this, the Java is not recognized in internal external command, that meaning, so you did some mistake in the class path setup. If it is working properly in the command prompt, so then we are good with the class path. Once we done that one, right, that's the class path setup of the Java. The next one is Anypoint Studio, right? So once you download that one, you'll try to start with the shortcut, right? when you try to start the shortcut, I'm just opening that shortcut. So 7.3.5, latest is 7.4.0. So here is the Anypoint Studio. Under that there is a Anypoint INI file, guys. I'm trying to highlight that line. So which line we have to add it. The problem is this Anypoint Studio, this particular line is missing, guys. -VM, this line number 6 and 7, right? These two are missing in the INI file. You have to add it manually, right? You can see it here. My version is 201. So take that one till here, till bin, right? After that, you have to add this java w.exe. These two lines you have to add it. Otherwise, your Anypoint Studio, it will say it's not able to identify that the JDK part, something, some kind of Java JVM issue it will show you guys. So once you add that one and then save it, or else you can take the backup of this INI file also. Take the backup for INI file and then overwrite with this content, whatever I'm just highlighting, two lines, right? So add these two lines and then it will work. So you can able to start it, right? So any other questions, guys? Hope I answer his question.
Yeah, hi,
So
Venkat.
any other questions? Yeah, go
Yeah,
on,
this
please.
is Razi. So like, I downloaded the Maven, but how to set up a path for the Maven? Like, because the option which I have, it's not matching with the options you have.
Okay, so actually nowadays the Maven, right? So it's embedded already, right? If
It
you
is not
choose
showing
this,
me. Yeah,
okay, which version you are downloading?
uh,
Downloaded.
I downloaded
Then it
the
will help
Maven
about any
Studio
points.
7.4.1.
Okay. So if it is the case, what you can do is go to preferences. Here you can see I just enable this one. Before that, you have to download this software, Apache Maven software. You
Yeah,
have to
I
download it.
did. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
downloaded it.
Once you download it, what you can do is similar way you have to set up the class path for the Maven also. So advanced system settings and then environment variables. Here we have to set up the Maven underscore home. We have to set up it. The root folder we have to show.
So, but
Okay.
you said
Once
Maven
you
is not,
download
it's
it,
not an installer, right? You said as far as I remember.
you have to unzip it. No? It might be zipped content you download it, right? You have to unzip it. It's not installable, yes. It's a configurable.
Mm-hmm.
Once you download it, right? So I'll show you the part. Surface. You can see it here. This will download like a zipped content, right? You
Mm-hmm.
have to unzip that one, right? This is the unzipped one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you unzip it, right? So this path you have to keep it into the class path. Otherwise, it's not able to recognize it, right? So how we done with the Java, right? Similarly, we have to set up the Maven underscore home. The root folder we have to keep it. Similarly, the second step is the path. The path also we have to add it. Otherwise, it's not able to download the dependencies also.
Okay.
That's
I'm doing
path,
that
right?
right now. Yeah. Till bin I have to give the path, right?
Correct.
Till Maven underscore home.
This is the first step, Maven underscore home. Similarly, keep it, the path is Maven underscore percentile Maven underscore home percentile slash bin.
Okay. I added that one.
You can see it here, the Maven underscore home percentile slash bin. Once you're done with that, and the next step is go here and then show the path. Here also you have to show the location browser option. Show that your Maven root folder.
Just a second, I'm doing that.
Okay. Any other questions? Can you mute yourself, please? Any other questions, guys?
It is still not showing Maven in the preferences.
Search for Maven. It's not showing.
Yeah. So what I did, I basically set the path Maven underscore home, and you said I need to mention that set
No,
something.
before that, that is later actually. First of all, in any point should you not able to see this option, Maven option?
No. Can I share my screen if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, how can I share my screen?
Razi, right? And just
Yes.
view the presenter. Yeah, share the screen.
Let me know you're able to see my screen.
Yes, you can able to see. Go to Windows. Go window or click on the preferences. Search for Maven now. Okay.
This is the version which I have.
7.4.1 now. Are you able to create a project? Can you go to file and create a project? Something is messed up here. By default, mule, search for mule here. Search for mule. See, it's not coming.
Yeah.
So are you able to unzip it 100% without any issues?
Yes, I think yes. So let me. Here it is.
No, that you unzipped it, right? So while
Yes.
unzipping, did you face any issues?
No, I don't think so. And this is the
What
564.
I was thinking, if you face any issues, no, so it might be some classes missing. That's why
Okay.
you're not able to do it. Do one thing. Can you try to download one more time and then try to unzip it properly without using any issue? You use 7-zip only, right, for unzipping?
No, the Windows one, Windows property, like
That's the
extract.
reason, right? I told you clearly. No, use 7-zip actually. There is an issue with WinRAR. So while
Is it okay?
unzipping, right, there might be some classes missing. Yeah. That's why
Okay.
I addressed in the first session, use
Okay.
7-zip.
This is 7
Do
unzip,
with
right?
that. So if you are facing issues still, then we'll connect on this. In 7-zip software,
This one,
use
right?
7-zip and then unzip with this. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. I will do that.
So anybody have any other questions, guys? The issue with the Anypoint Studio unzip, guys, it might be even if you miss any issue with any class related to that particular thing, right? So for example, the classes related to debug or else it's a dot classes basically. If you miss anything, that particular the module, it won't work. Okay, so if you're good, then let's try to create a project and then we'll play with around, guys. See, once you start this project, right? So as I said, there is a workspace. It will ask create a workspace also, and then once you create that once, right? So here is the new button, file new, and then you can see clearly the mule project, right? So click that one. So it will show you the pop-up like this. So it will ask the user, I mean project name, and then you can see the number of server versions. There is the 4.2.2 and then 4.2.1. By default, you have only one version, based on the project, right? Specific project, I mean specific version of the project, or else your client project. So you have to add one more version accordingly. How to add that version? So go to help, install new softwares, and then so here you can search for the servers, the latest runtime servers. You can search it. So here is the S3 runtimes, guys, S3 Studio runtimes. So this is I'm talking about how to add a new the mule runtime. So whatever the runtime if required based on the project, right? So this is the way you have to add it. You can see it here, the whatever the latest versions, right? So you can see the 4.2.2 2.1. So suppose your project is still running in 4.1.1, we have to add that one, right? We have to select accordingly whatever the version you want, and then select it and then click next. So it will take some time to add this one, guys. Once you done that part, it will ask to restart it. So once you restart it, it will reflect into whenever the pop-up, whatever, while creating a project, right? It will here, it will reflect accordingly whatever the version you want to create a project, right? So that version you have to choose it accordingly, right? So I'm just putting like the project name is the demo. I'm just choosing 4.2.0, guys. Hope everybody clear. So this is nothing but Mule runtime server here. But actually here, when you're trying to work with a local, right, it will deploy into the Jetty server, not in Mule server. Okay. So when this will come into the picture, when you try to deploy into the cloud, right? When you try to deploy into the Mule runtime manager, so this version will come into the picture. We have to choose that whatever the version you created a project, right? Similar version you have to choose while deploying time. We'll see clearly the how to deploy into the production and all. We'll see. So that time there is a drop down will be there, number of versions, whatever the version you created, same version we have to choose in the settings also while deploying the project into production, right? So we'll cover that part in future, right? So this will come into picture that particular time actually when you're trying to deploy into the cloud, right? I'm just clicking, I'm just ignoring this option, ABI implementation. We'll see in future. So this is nothing but the RAML based project and then SOAP based project, right? So that time we have to choose that one. We have to load the RAML as well as SOAP project also, meaning WSDL also you can show using this checkbox, guys. Right now I'm just ignoring this one. Yeah. Any question? Can you hear
Actually,
me
Venkat,
properly
your
now?
voice is breaking, Venkat.
Okay.
Now, okay.
Okay, I'll just repeat it. So this runtime server will come into the picture only when you're trying to deploy into the cloud, guys. So I'm just create a project name called demo, and then so this checkbox, right? When you're trying to work with a API specification, the meaning when you're trying to create a RAML specification project, right? Using RAML, we'll create a project based on the requirement. First, we have to create a RAML specification. After that, we'll create a project. That time, this will come into the picture. And the other thing is when you're trying to work with a SOAP-based project. Suppose I just want to expose as a SOAP API to outside world. That time we have to load either it's a RAML specification or either it's a WSDL file. So that time you have to choose this option, guys. I'm just ignoring right now. So this is the location where I'm trying to create a project. So that's what we spoke about, that package, I mean workspace, right? That's the thing. And then I'm trying to click finish button, guys. The project get created. It will take some time and then create it. You can see the structure of the project automatically get generated everything. So we'll just overview that bit explore on that structure of the project also. You can see there's the project name demo. Usually we'll follow that, so nobody will keep the capital letters, guys. The project name we will follow that small case along with underscore and hyphen we can add it actually. Based on that your project naming convention, right? We can add that hyphen and can create a project name for best practices. And then you can see once you created this, the structure of the project, guys. These are all the folders, the packages get generated, right? So the first one is it's a basically whatever the project we are going to create it, it's a POM based, it's a Maven based by default, right? So that's why you can see the POM.xml here, right? So when you're trying to talk about with the dependencies and all, this POM will take care for that. You don't need to download externally. So in 3.x, right? So either you can create the POM based project. If suppose I don't want to go for a POM based, meaning Maven based project, I can just ignore that one. Externally, you have to choose the option whether you're going to create a Maven project or it's not Maven project. You have to choose that radio button. So right now here in the 4.x by default, whatever the project you are going to create, it's a Maven based by default. So that's why you can see it here. And the Mule runtime server version, right? So 4.2.0 enterprise edition, right? whatever the version you are using, that version it will reflect here, right? And then the next one is here. You can see the first folder, SRC main mule. In the bracket, you can see the flows, the list of flows. So right now you can see the whatever the project name, with the project name, the demo.xml, one configuration file get generated. You might add based on your requirement the number of configuration files. You can right click on the SRC main, and then you can see that it's SRC main mule. On top of that, you can see that there is a mule configuration file. If you want to create one more configuration file, accordingly just add that name. So in order to give .xml also, it will automatically become the XML also. Right? We can see it here. I added somewhere else, I guess. I'm just clicking new, the new configuration test. So like this, based on your requirement, right? Usually for the best practices, right? Each concept, the meaning. Suppose I just want to create an order, right? And then another one is I just want to see the list inventory. Appointments, right? So there might be similar different concept while creating APIs, right? One is nothing but taking care of orders, one is nothing but taking care of inventory, one is nothing but this is each individual concept, right? Each one is so that you can create a accordingly. Each configuration file is specific to one topic, one concept. Orders is one concept. Appointments is another concept. Under that might be CUDA operations, right? Create order, update order, delete order, create appointment, update appointment, delete appointments. Right? So like this, the based on your architectural decision, you might take care accordingly. You can create it the configuration files, guys. And then so this contains only SRC main mule contains only the configuration files, right? You can see that in the bracket flows also. In the older version, there is no the package called SRC main mule, right? The only flows, FLOWS flows, meaning the older version, the 2.x, something like that. So whoever worked on that, so for them might be they kept it in the bracket the flows. So for avoiding the confusion. The next one is SRC main Java. So here in those scenarios, guys. So yesterday, I mean, in the first session, I was talking about. I did not say Java is the 100% no working experience, meaning hands-on experience. I just talk about so at a high level in our academic career also, what is meant by map, what is meant by set, what is meant by list. So you should aware about these concepts actually, not hands-on experience. That's what I addressed clearly, right? So in SRC main Java is a folder. In worst scenarios, if you write any Java class, right? Nowadays, for everything we can achieve in the data wave, there is a concept called data wave 2.0. Using that one, we can achieve almost all the date conversions, or else there is a lookup also there. If you're not able to do in the particular on the fly, you're not able to do some kind of a transformation. We'll create a lookup, then we'll create a separate subflow. We'll customize there. We'll come back. The meaning. Suppose you are getting a list of records from the input, but out of the list of the records, you have to get it only one out of the list. I just want to pass it a single value because target system is expecting only single value, but you are expecting a bunch of records. So based on the condition, you have to get it, and then we have to assign to the target system. The meaning transformation, you have to do it. For that, if you're not able to do in the data wave on fly itself, you will create a separate the lookup flow. Then we can customize it based on the condition. You can come back. We can assign it to the transformation, guys. So that way, data wave 2.0 for everything nowadays, it will support for all the operations. The many features are there, right? So in order to write any Java also, guys, right? In worst scenarios, if you write any Java class, here is the thing: you have to create a new. There is a Java class. You can see it here. You can create it, right? So we'll address clearly how to write write any, if you write any Java class or else any Java method, if you write it, how to call inside the data wave or else how to call inside even the MuleSoft. We'll address it clearly in our sessions. The next one is the meaning. The Java classes, we have to keep it as SRC main Java. The next one is SRC main resources. Under that SRC main resources, the static content, guys. The meaning, suppose you are using, I was talking about a create order, update order, delete order. So when you're talking about the APIs, right? So you have to give the documentation to your consumer. The meaning, so you are not exposing to a single customer, right? You might implement as a generic way. So right now we have a 10 clients. In future, it might increase the number of clients, right? We can't share every, no, if you through email or else this is the API, this is the request URL, this is the way you have to pass the input, this is the response I will provide you, right? So instead of that, as we discussed the RAML thing, right? So using that the RAML part, we can expose as a documentation, clear documentation. We'll publish it, right? So when you're trying to publish a documentation, in that we have to mention clearly what is a sample order request, what is a sample the patch request, delete request, right? What response you will get it when you're trying to delete the order, when you're trying to update an order, what response will get it. These kind of mock responses, right? Mock request, you have to keep it into SRC main resources. There is a folder called API get generated automatically. Under that, you have to keep it the RAML, the JSON schemas, JSON files, or XML files, whatever you have, the mock data you are using, you have to keep it under SRC main resources, guys, right? The beyond that, suppose you might use some visual files, right? Using that visual, you are trying to publish as a SOAP API. So all these content, static content, you can make it into the under SRC main resources, right? Apart from that, so there is a log4j.xml, you can see it here. So here, specific to logging mechanism, so you don't need to add any dependency for that, guys. Usually, if you're talking about any technology, we have to add log4j file dependency. We have to add it, right? So here, it's get embedded already, the log4j dependency. So whatever you want to do is that you can enhance it here. Suppose I just want to show only the debug level and then error level in production, right? Instead of showing all the info level, the meaning, there are different levels of the logging mechanism, right? Meaning info level, warning level, trace level, debug level, error level, all these things, right? You can enhance this one. So whatever you want, right? According to your project requirement, you can enhance this one. Another one is, so here it's a rolling file, right? So here there is the MuleSoft the constraint or limitation. In the server logs, we can hold only 100 MB at a time. 100 MB you can store it actually. Beyond that, what it will happen? Every 10 MB, you can see it here according to this rolling file XML code. So this is the file name get generated, whatever the log file, right? You can see it here with that the name log file get generated. Second thing is you can see each file size. So meaning the log file keep on generated every 10 MB, it will try to generate a new file. So the rolling strategy maximum is 10 into 10, 100 MB. Right? Suppose still there is a few more logs will come. So you started adding 11th file. What it will happen? The first file, whatever you created a first file, that will remove it. Always we can hold 100 MB logs, guys. The meaning, the history logs we might delete, automatically get deleted because that's a constraint from the MuleSoft. Suppose I still want because suppose you're working some kind of a bank domain project, so we need the logs are very important, right, for troubleshooting. Somebody raise a concern, then we have to go and look into it, all the logs, what happened exactly when the customer is logged in, from which browser he is trying to log in, all this information we have to trace it, right? So the logs required, so that if you want to maintain, so we can get it from MuleSoft. They'll expose as some kind of a REST API. We can get that every 100 MB, the folder we can get it and we can maintain even on premises. So that is one thing. Other one is in the in market we have several vendors are there. For example, Logly. There is one of the vendor called Logly. You can get a space from them. Whatever the logs required, you can push them. So they again for filtering, right? So suppose I just want to see based on the certain tag, I just want to see all the information, right? So the Logly guy provided clearly such criteria also their dashboard, right? you can search for that based on the specific tag, right? Suppose I just have a multiple environments, dev, production, UAT, BAT, and then QA, all these things. I just want to see only QA logs, right? So like Loglink, I provided clearly the search based criteria. You can see only QA logs, you can filter it out and you can see, right? Like that. So when you're talking about this, the logging specification, right? So the Log4j mechanism by default embedded with this one, Anypoint Studio, right? You don't need to worry about that one, Log4j. Wherever required, you just use that the log component. You can see the log component or log message process inside the palette. You just drag and drop it. Whatever the information you want to log it, you can log it. But the recommendation is use payloads, don't log it, right? Because it will take. So the logging mechanism will work with a asynchronous manner, even though don't display whole payload, right? So that's a logging mechanism. So the next thing is under SRC main resources, you can see the log4j. So if you want to do any modification, you can do it accordingly. The next one is SRC test/Java, right? So here SRC main Java is specific to your the configuration files, right? Suppose I written some logic here, I just want to utilize the Java method, so that we have to define under SRC main Java, you can utilize it. Suppose in our test cases, right? Usually here SRC test a minute. You write some minute. I just want some Java class for a minute required, right? So then you can write under SRC test/Java, guys. So whatever the SRC main Java, it's specific to your main flows. SRC test/Java is specific to your a minute flows. Okay. The next one is SRC test resources. Here you can see SRC main resources is specific to your main flows, right? So here SRC test resources specific to your minute. Sometimes as I said, we have to maintain the mock example, right? Order creation example, order update example, order delete, the query parameter, all these samples we have to maintain. So that information for the request and response, we have to place it here also, because when you're trying to execute every minute, suppose you just mention a order creation flow, right? We have to write a minute test cases for that, and then we have to execute a minute order creation flow. When you're trying to order creation flow execution, it might need the order sample example, right? So that information we have to keep it all the things under SRC test resources, meaning whatever the samples we have to keep it. So here also you have to maintain, guys, SRC test resources also you have to maintain, right? So that it will utilize by every minute, right? That's the thing. Another one is, this is the libraries, HTTP libraries, and then JRE libraries, and then next one is socket related libraries, mail server libraries, right? Yes, this are target actually. This target folder is every time the regenerating, whenever you're trying to compile it, it will get removed and then it will try to create a new one freshly, right? It's about that. And then mule artifact.json. So this is the file where you are trying to maintain the version, right? And then here we can maintain the environment properties also, but actually it's not recommendable. You have to create a separate folder under SRC main resources, then we'll maintain the different properties file based on your environment. Suppose if you have multiple environments, we'll create a dev.properties, production.properties, QA.properties. Like that we have to create external files, so then we have to utilize it. So we'll see in future, guys, don't get confused. So this is the project structure, guys. So anybody have any question uh, in this each package, what is the purpose for this each package? I addressed clearly. So anybody have any question on this structure of the project?
So, hi Venkat. So Venkat, my question is like, suppose we wanted to create a flow from source to destination. Suppose we receive the XML request and we just wanted to convert into JSON and
Okay.
deliver to the target and going to talk with the target. So what will be the structure for that one? Like how it works in the code perspective?
Sorry, you want to read that XML and then push into the target system? Huh?
Yes. Or we just wanted to parse it and convert into JSON request or anything like that. So how it will be go in this structure?
Yeah, so usually we'll create the flows under SRC main mule flow, right? So there we have to create it, and then you have to receive the data. So using HTTP listener, we have to receive it. That HTTP listener, we have to drag and drop it inside that the flow. You have to drag and drop it. The HTTP listener says it will give clearly address, right?
Yes.
The based on the address, right? So the user can post the data, so it will allow different operations. For example, get to, post to, put to, patch to, delete,
Okay.
all these operations it will expect,
Mhm.
right? So we can restrict it also. Suppose I just want to allow only get request, you can no, it's a basically optional, this one. If you want to restrict it, you can restrict it also. If you enable get, I can able to get only get request. In your case, it's a post request. We have to read the XML file, right? So user might post it using this address, right? This is, it will tell you clearly HTTP localhost or else whatever the remote host, right? If you deploy it to the cloud, we'll get some domain name and all. They can post it, once post it, so we can read the data, right? So once you read that, so we might need the transformation for posting to the target system. Suppose you are reading a XML data from your consumer, but the target system is expecting some the JSON format.
Yeah.
So then if it is only transform, then we can drag and drop it, and then we can convert, we can map it accordingly. What is the field you are getting, what is the expected field, we can make it here, and then we can map it, right? The transformation is not only just the mapping the field. You might need some kind of a data type conversion. Suppose you are getting like a string format, the target system is expecting a data type format, right? So sometimes you are getting a list of values, but the target system is expecting only one value. So these kind of transformation, the customization you have to do in the middleware, then we'll convert it to the JSON, right? So then we have to post into the target system. So this is the synchronous calls, right? Once it will take the request, right? It will take care to responsibility, get the response back. That way, the HTTP listener is nothing but a two-way direction. If you take the request, it will responsibility and have to send back the response to consumer back. Right.
So Venkat, are you going to
Answer the
cover
question. Any question?
are you going to cover the mapping part as well in the part of training, or like?
Yes, we'll cover now. On data wave, we have almost 3 hours session. We cover all the features of the data
Okay.
wave too.
Okay. Nice.
Okay, so anybody have any other questions, guys? So we just spoke about the structure of the project today. Okay, so that's all for today, guys. We'll continue the session tomorrow. I just have to sign off. Is there any other question? I will address that one. If you don't have any question, we'll wind up the session, guys. We'll continue the session, and then we'll start playing tomorrow, guys. This how to take the payload, and then we'll process, and then how we'll get back the response. All these things will start tomorrow. So we'll start with query parameters, how to read the query parameters from the user, how to create a variable, how to read the data from the consumer, and then give it to the next level. We'll play with around. At least we'll try to log that information until we discuss the DB connector and all. Okay. So that's all for today. Thanks for joining. We'll meet tomorrow.
Thank you.